Hello. Welcome to this week's Analytics and Data TechCast. My name is Charlie Berger. I'm the Senior Director of Product Management for Oracle Machine Learning, and I will be your host today. We have a couple of great speakers, Carol Palmer and LJ Qian, both speaking about the Spatial Studio for fast and easy spatial analytics and maps. Before we get too far into it, I just wanted to cover some administrative kind of issues. In the Zoom admin control, in Zoom, all lines probably will be put on mute. I'm not sure if I clicked on that yet, but your lines should be on mute. You are being recorded right now, so just so you know that everything's being recorded. And let's see. So my background: I'm associated with Oracle, with both Oracle as a product manager for Oracle Machine Learning. Also, I happen to be one of the co-founders of this what's called BIWA, or Analytics and Data User Community, which helps with the help of many hardworking volunteers, such as Carol, who's on the call, and others. We run the Analytics and Data Summit TechCast. We also run the annual Analytics and Data Summit, which this year will be out in San Carlos, I think, in February 25, 26, and 27. More on that at the end. Today's TechCast, we're going to have two great speakers today. Carol Palmer, Senior Product Manager for Oracle Spatial and Graph, who will talk who will talk about Spatial Studio, and LJ Qian, Director of Software Development, who will be demoing Spatial Studio. Carol is focused on Spatial and Graph Cloud Service and Components and serves as Oracle's representative for the Spatial and Graph SIG board. LJ is Director of Software Development for Oracle Spatial and Graph team. He currently leads the development of Spatial Cloud Visualization. A few more housekeeping items. All the Analytics and Data TechCast should take about 30 minutes. That's what we try to target, including time at the end for questions and answers. Now, your questions and answers you can submit via the Q&A widget or whatever at the bottom of your Zoom controls. So not the chat window. Please submit your questions to the Q&A window, and then Carol and LJ and maybe others can answer them there. They can be tracked and answered by the speakers. The TechCast will be recorded, and it will be posted on the TechCast page, which is where you hopefully landed originally to get to this TechCast or register. And the speaker's contact information is in the presentation, which is being recorded and will be available on the TechCast page shortly following the TechCast. We'll also post a PDF of the presentation on that same page, and we will also take the recording and we will put it up on YouTube with the hashtag #AND_TechCast. So you can also find that out on YouTube. Also, while I have your attention before we dive into this TechCast, I always want to try and recruit additional TechCast speakers. This is a user community. I happen to be an Oracle employee, but this is run by Oracle customers, Oracle partners, Oracle ACEs, Oracle professionals, and anyone who has knowledge, expertise, tips, and tricks to share are encouraged to submit their TechCast abstract proposals. You can do that on the same TechCast website, and what we'll do is we have a subcommittee that reviews those. We try to pull off the best ones and then make them available to you to see. So with that, and without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Carol and LJ. Take it away, Carol and LJ.
All right, thank you, Charlie. So as Charlie said, we're going to talk to you about Spatial Studio today. It was first released in July, and we, maybe some of you have tried it. We plan on quarterly releases, so the next one is coming up very shortly, the next couple of weeks. And I believe LJ is going to be showing you the functionality in the upcoming release, so you are lucky you're going to be seeing that today. Okay, just quickly on the agenda, I'm going to talk to you about what Spatial Studio is all about, why we developed it. And as Charlie said, the majority of the session today is going to be on the demo, so LJ is going to go into that. And then there are additional slides, there are additional slides there that I would like to get into, but if we don't have time, not a big deal. You will be able to download the slides later and see what is a result of the demo, the functionality, license, all the other stuff that we may not get into today. Okay, so what's Spatial Studio? It's a self-service app to make it easy to use spatial features in Oracle database, and this is for creating spatial visualizations as well as performing spatial analysis. Now, it's designed for business users with no GIS or spatial knowledge. I'm not sure if many of you know about spatial. It's been around in Oracle database for over 25 years. It's really robust. It's great, a lot of great functionality, but the issue has always been it's been difficult for people to deal with the complexity around using spatial features. It's been more developer or GIS focused. So what we're doing is that we designed it for business users with no GIS spatial knowledge. It's a no-code environment. We have an intuitive GUI that you'll see when LJ demos it. That's modeled after Oracle data visualization. So for those of you who use DV, you can do things like get data prepared, geocoded, and do spatial analysis. And you can almost think of DV as a companion product to DV and OAC. What we've done is we simplified a lot of the spatial work, so it's not so developer focused. And we've made them self-service operations. We've made it easy to do spatial analysis. So for example, if you have a spreadsheet with addresses, it's easy to geocode that data and get it ready to create maps and perform spatial analysis. There's a dialog that helps you do all that. You can create spatial visualizations, and right now we have a couple types that you can do. You could share results with others. It's easy to do that. And you can integrate your analysis results through REST. All that LG is going to show you. So again, it's all no-code environment, self-service. Just click and drag and drop. And what I do want to show you is, escape here and go live to the studio page. This is what Spatial Studio is on Oracle.com. I just want to point out a couple things for you here. There's an easy way to get started with Oracle Spatial Studio. You click here, you can download Oracle Spatial Studio. There's an FAQ, a demo you can watch to easily get started using Spatial Studio, access to a guide. And what sometimes people miss, and I want to point out to you today, is there's a forum here that you can access if you have any questions on Studio when you're using it or see what other people have done. And there's also a blog for tips and tricks. And there was one that was just posted, I think, yesterday or today on using Spatial Studio in the cloud marketplace. So that is a recent one that you're going to want to look at. So go back. All right, so with that quick introduction, let's get right to the demo, and I'll stop sharing and LJ can begin the demo.
Okay, thanks. All right, so let me share my desktop. So we are trying to cram a few demos into this short session. So this is the initial login page. Studio is basically a web application, so that means all you need is a web browser, and then you just type in the URL and you log in, right? So right now I'm logging as the admin user, which means I can see all the stuff that maybe other users created as well. But in this inside the Studio environment, what you're seeing here is your existing projects and maybe any of your projects that you published and shared with others. And then you can also look at what kind of data you have currently. So this is the main pieces of the Studio, so which are the data sets, since that is traditionally what you would consider a map layer or multiple map layers, and they can be coming from different connections. So again, Spatial Studio works on top of Oracle database, so that means the connections are basically your departmental, database schemas, or your database running on, on the Oracle Cloud, if you have subscription to the autonomous database services. So you can create your own connections to any of the database schemas you have access to, and then load existing data tables from those connections. Okay, so the way to load those data or existing tables in your schema is by creating a data set. Okay, so like you can see here, I have a bunch of data sets already existing, and these are not. So all of these are basically metadata managed by Spatial Studio. So like in this case, the countries, it's corresponding to a table, storing all the countries, shapes, and attributes in a particular database schema. So what we have here is that after you create the data set, we wanted to know, as much about your table as possible, right? So in this case, we will know like number of records there, and you can also get the GeoJSON endpoint. So if you have a different map API or application, you just want to display the country in a different application, you can get the GeoJSON data out of the database using this endpoint. But most importantly to the studio is that we need to know what kind of columns exist in this table. So here you can see we have all these different columns. And then because this is spatial, right? So one of the most important columns, so again, we are talking about database tables and columns, and this is the most important column as far as map visualization is concerned. So you have this geometry column, and its SQL data type is SDO geometry. So again, this is Oracle Spatial data type. So we have these things, and then once you loaded these data sets, you can then create new projects, okay, which we will go into shortly. So let me first show you how to actually create a new data set from an existing table, okay? So I have currently all these different connections. So notice also you can add additional connections as well. And when you are creating a new connection, to load tables and data from your existing schema, your schema can be residing in an on-premise database, or it can be on a autonomous database cloud service. But I'm not going to create a new connection, but instead I will be creating a new data set from one of my existing connections. So in this case, I'm connecting to this database schema, and I want to see what kind of tables I already have there. So as you can see here, we have a bunch tables, and some of them are flagged with this location ping, which means that we already know that this table has a SDO geometry typed geometry column, so it's ready to be mapped. Others doesn't have those pings, so maybe you wanted to load it into Studio, and then you can geocode it if they contain address information. That will give you a geometry column that you can map. So in this case, I'm just going to try to find a 3D data set. Okay, so this is an existing table of some building footprints. So I just clicked OK. So now Studio is creating a new data set out of that existing table. So notice again, we are not duplicating any data. We're just creating a piece of metadata to represent the table that you already have in one of your connections. So if we look at the properties, again, we have all these columns here, and the geometry represents the building footprint, and the number of floors is the value we are going to use to do the 3D mapping. So I have the data set. I can now create a project. So this is actually where you will be, as a end user or business analysis, you will be spending most of your time in. So this is the project. And on the left side, we have all the data elements, meaning data sets or analyses that you have created or you loaded into this project. So again, if you go to the data page, this lists all the data sets that you have access to, but you may not want to use all of them in one project. So inside the project, you have your specific data set that you want to explore. And in order to show this data set on the map, all you need to do is you drag and drop onto the map. So again, on the right side, you have the map visualization, and you can add, multiple maps. Okay, so and they will go side by side, and it's all linked in the brushing. But right now, I'm only using one map viz, and then let me add this data set to the map. Okay, so I don't know if the animation comes through, but we are now looking at the polygons representing all the building footprints in this New York City, Manhattan area. Okay, so this does not look like 3D, but the main thing is that we added this data set. Now this map has a new layer, and with this layer, you can do a lot of things. First, you can change how it's rendered, the color, and all that stuff. So these are all your usual, GIS or mapping functionalities. And you can also add a tooltip, the names or whatever, and show, and set up what attributes you wanted to display when you click on any of the buildings, right? So now I wanted to turn this into a 3D rendering, right? So let me just switch that to 3D. So for 3D, this settings panel asks, which column should supply the height value, okay? So in this case, I'm doing number of floors. So it's changed a little bit, but you probably won't be able to tell. So we need to tilt the map, okay, a little bit. So this is showing the full 3D visualization capability. And there are a lot of other things you can do. For instance, you can color the building based on the data instead of using a single color. So I can change to color the individual buildings using based on their height, for instance, or maybe number of occupancies. So anyway, that's one quick demo. And so I think we are still fine time-wise. Okay, so let me now log out and log in as a different user. And that's just another feature of this Studio application. It's a multi-user environment. So in a typical enterprise deployment, you would have this deployed to a WebLogic server environment. And then, your admin or IT folks can set up accounts for all the end users, and they can all log in by using their own credentials. And they will be able to, load data and do analysis and do all that without anyone else seeing their data sets or projects. So I just re-logged in as a normal user, not an admin user, so I can only see the data sets that I have, okay? So again, I have these data sets. I have some Texas sales regions and some dealerships. So this is a completely, made up story, but, the data sets are real. So first thing I want to do is just, again, create a map. And I wanted to show the dealers, and then maybe go back to this data page and add another data set to my active project. So I have the sales regions, okay. So now because I added the regions after I added the dealers, which are points, so these polygons are covering the points, so I can just drag and drop to reorder the rendering on the map so that the regions go behind the dealers. So with this, you can already do something. So for instance, I wanted to find out what is in this, or which dealers are in this region. So let me turn on the tooltip so I can get the region number. So this is region 13, okay? And if you wanted to do a quick query, to tell me all the dealers that are within this region, you can easily do that. So this is where, spatial analysis comes in. So from your dealership point data set, you wanted to do or create a new spatial analysis. And this is, exposing the full suite of functionalities that Oracle Spatial Database provides. Okay, so traditionally, to run any of these spatial analysis or spatial operators, like creating a buffer or overlaying two geo data sets, you would have to figure out what's the syntax, what's the SQL query you need to create, and you also need to make sure that your data sets each have the proper, geospatial metadata and spatial indexes. So with Studio, we are trying to simplify those procedures. So in this case, all you see is just a menu of all the things you can do on your data sets, and we handle the complexity of actually constructing the query. Okay, so in this case, I wanted to, find out all the dealers that are within that selected sales region. Okay, so I'm using any interaction operator. So again, this is going to be result in a database query. So I want to say dealers in region 13. Okay, and then my target or my second layer that I'm intersecting with is this regions. Okay, and I wanted to use the currently selected region. Okay, so this is basically running any interaction SDO query. Okay, so we have a new data set, or rather a new analysis created. So this one, what happened, is that we submitted all the information, like the two layers that are participating in this analysis, and then this new analysis is created. And we don't actually copy or duplicate any data. This is just nothing more than a view in the database. So you can do all kinds of exploratory analysis without worrying, am I moving a ton of data or duplicating a ton of data? It's all just queries and views. So let's see what is this, and for that, I will create a new map. Okay, I wanted to add the regions. Okay, and you can see these two regions are now linked. And then this is the new analysis. Okay, so I wanted to display the result of this analysis. And then there you go. Okay, so you see all the dealers that are within this sales region. And you can also, if you just wanted a tabular report of the analysis, and then you can just drop into this table of this or table of visualization. Furthermore, if you wanted to get an actual report in a spreadsheet, you can do that. You go back to the data page where the new analysis is listed, and here you can say, oh, okay, I wanted to export this the result of this analysis as a CSV. Okay, and I don't want any geometry stuff in it. I just want to know the dealership information. You click OK, and you get a zip file containing your analysis result. So, and you can also fully automate all these steps using REST API, so you can be running this kind of reports, on a weekly or nightly basis. So basically, that's for more advanced users. Okay, so coming back to this project. So what if, I want to do a bit more analysis? I wanted to see within my region or within a certain buffer of my dealers, are there any tornadoes? Historically, do we have any major tornadoes happening around any of my dealers? So to do that, because in my current Studio environment, I don't have any tornado data. So, so what you can do is you can just, search on the internet, and in this case, I'm looking at the NOAA, severe weather report website, and they have this very nice tornadoes path or initial points data set. So let me just download this path data set, which is in shapefiles. So now that it's downloaded, I can then upload into Studio environment. Okay, so I'm creating a new data set. But in this case, instead of creating this new data set from one of my existing tables, I'm going to upload the shapefile that I just downloaded. Okay, so this is the shapefile we just got, and you upload to Studio. So what's happening here is that we upload the shapefile, which contains all the information about the past, 50, 60 years of tornadoes. And then this screen is basically, asking you, which table you wanted to use to store this new data set. Okay, so again, because everything happens inside the database, so when you upload a data file, we actually persist that file into a target database schema. So in this case, I only have access to this database schema. So I'm creating a new table in this schema using the data, files we just uploaded. Okay, so let's see. So what's happening behind the scene is that it's importing or reading all the records out of the shapefile and inserting them into the Oracle database, creating a new table, creating all the geospatial metadata, and then indexing the geometries so that it can be efficiently mapped and analyzed. Okay, so this is the new data set we just uploaded, but is now residing in my connection as a table. Okay, so it has this many rows, and we can quickly take a look at all the columns which originate from that shapefile. So now we can add this to my active project, okay? And let's just see what happens if I drag and drop this tornadoes path. So you can see there are a lot of tornadoes indeed happening around my dealerships, okay? So maybe I wanted to do an analysis. Again, these are all completely ad hoc. There's no pre-planning or there's no preparation needed. You just upload your file and you start exploring your ideas. So in this case, I wanted to say, I want to find out, within maybe, 10-mile radius of my dealers, are there any, or the list of tornadoes that are within those buffer zones. So first thing I need to do is then from my dealers, I need to create the buffer zones. Okay, so this will be using the buffer, dealers buffer. So this is actually, let's make, 50,000 meter buffer. So we are actually pretty close to the
Yeah, we are, LJ.
hour. Okay,
Sorry.
so let me just run this quickly. So
Yep.
added the analysis result, and I can, okay, so we have all these buffers being created. Now I wanted to see which tornado path actually did run across those buffers. So in this case, I'm basically changing a series of spatial analysis and queries. Okay. So I have the tornado path, and I wanted to find out, from the buffers, which ones are interacting with each other or crossing the buffer zones of my dealers. Okay. you can also put this to run in the background if the job or the analysis is huge. So let me turn off the original tornado path, since I'm only interested in the path that intersect or interact with my dealer buffers. And then let me drag this tornado path in here. So again, all of these analysis you are creating, you can easily just delete them if you don't need them. There is no physical data movement happening in your database. They are all just views and queries. So here you can see, it's doing the query and it's returning only the tornado path that either cross or are inside your dealer buffer zones. So maybe you want to send a report to some of the most hardest hit dealers, say, hey, watch out, maybe, do something, so that your cars don't get blown away. So anyway, it's still generating all the vector tiles in the backend. It's running a little bit slow, but, this is running on a dev box on my laptop. So if you have access to a autonomous database service, you will get much better performance here. So that's my demo.
Okay. Thanks, LJ. You want to just give me the screen back for a second?
Yep.
Good job. Okay, obviously you can see there's lots you can do, and it's really difficult to show all of Studio's capabilities in such a short period of time. I'm not going to go into the functionality. A lot of this you can read for yourself when you go online. I just want to point out that the Studio license is included with all autonomous database subscriptions that include spatial and graph option. So all of these, as well as on-premise database enterprise edition and spatial and graph. Because people often ask us the question, what does it cost? It doesn't, there's no extra charge. Technical requirements, you can get this on oracle.com. Get started. There's a quick start that you can use for trial development and testing purposes. It comes pre-deployed in a Jetty container. You can download it, unzip and run. Again, the Java, you can get the EAR file from Oracle Service Delivery Cloud or Oracle Technical Resources, which is formerly OTN. This is all on oracle.com. These links are all from oracle.com as well, where you can download, you can get started, get the guide, etc. what I showed you earlier. I do want to point out also that we have a SIG for Spatial and Graph, which we have a great group of people, customers and partners. We share knowledge and help each other with various technical issues or new use cases. We meet, for example, at Open World, also at the Spatial and Graph Summit, which I want to make a plug for, which is next February. For those of you who might have gone, it's sort of our premier event for Spatial and Graph, We are now part of BWA, so we will be there, and there's lots of great technical sessions. If you want to just attend as attendee, that's great. But we also encourage you to submit abstracts if you have use cases or anything you want to share. Not only Spatial and Graph, but other analytics and big data, whatever. There's a variety of opportunities for you to submit abstracts. And I want to go here, and people have been asking about TechCasts. So here, there's some upcoming TechCasts coming up. This, I guess, needs to be updated a bit, but it's, Charlie, I know there's another one after October 17th that you mentioned earlier. If you want to see the archives, they are also listed here as well, so you can look at some of the other ones we've done previously. Okay, and if you have any questions on Studio, again, it's been quick. Feel free to contact me, contact LJ, and we'd be happy to point you to more information or answer any questions that you might have. Charlie, is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for a most excellent TechCast, you and LJ. Every time I listen, and involved with TechCast, I learn a lot of really cool things and have a million questions for follow-up and cool things to do. But that's the idea of these TechCasts, We hope the audience all learned something, that it sparks your imagination for what you can do. Hopefully, I'm thinking, well, wouldn't it be cool to take the spatial and combine it with some machine learning and do some, some cool predictive things? And I'm sure you guys have already done some of that stuff. And you as the audience, if you've done anything cool and you want to share your knowledge, please submit an abstract. Now, one of the new things that we've done is we've made the decision that if you do submit an abstract, we'll get you a free pass to the summit. Okay, that's worth about $500. There's early bird special, you can get it for cheaper, all that, but it's worth some money. And if you get a TechCast submitted and accepted, that's what we're doing to incentivize, customers and partners and different people that are doing really, really cool things. Our next TechCast is going to be on October 17th. Same, time, 12 o'clock on Thursdays. We have Harry Snart from the UK. He's going to be doing an absolutely excellent presentation on productionizing machine learning with the autonomous data warehouse. So he actually straddles a little bit between Oracle Analytics Cloud and the Oracle Machine Learning in the database, and I think you'll really like that. We're going to skip 2 or 3 weeks for scheduling reasons. The next one, which we'll update the schedule on, will be November 7th. I actually will be doing that one, and that's going to be called The Changing Role of the DBA from Database Developer to Data Scientist in 6 weeks. So I'll try and walk you through all of that. Again, everything's being recorded. We're going to post everything. It may take a delay or two to get everything out there because we are pretty much an army of volunteers to do all this, where it's a separate company outside of Oracle. You can see some of the TechCast committee members there. And so come back for that if it's not there immediately. And again, thank you to our speakers and thank you for everyone's time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.